One of the things that's happened to the sport of fishing over the last few years, a good thing, is that it's become much more technical, much more tech savvy, and much more complicated. We find and catch a lot more fish, but sometimes we forget that fishing is supposed to be fun. So on today's episode, we're going to concentrate on some ways that you can put the pure fun and the catching back in fishing. We're going to go for one of the easiest fish to catch in freshwater, show you some of the gear, some of the techniques used to catch them, and show you how to go out this weekend and have a lot of fun with your kids and your family. Glad you're along with us on this week's show, because Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
So how do you go about putting some of the fun back into the sport of fishing? Well, it begins with catching a lot of fish. It's catching that's fun, not so much the fishing part of it. On today's show, we are going to take you out on one of my favorite lakes that's loaded with fish and show you how to catch one of the easiest fish to catch that swims in our region in fresh water. To do that, I've brought you to a gorgeous location. As you can see behind me, it is a beautiful, calm morning in West Texas at Possum Kingdom Lake. One of the easiest fish to catch anywhere in freshwater in our region is the white bass. They're plentiful. They're in almost every river and reservoir system across the region. And today I'm going to show you some of my favorite rigs and techniques and some of the gear you'll need to go out this weekend and find and catch white bass of your very own. We're going to be taking the beautiful Tracker Pro Team 195 out onto PK with the Mercury 4-stroke 115 hanging on the back. Going to have a great time today. While we're doing that, we're taking you around your local region for your fishing reports from our staff of insider reporters covering saltwater and freshwater fishing right where you live. So right now the boat gets launched into Possum Kingdom Lake and we get things started back at the FSN studios with your weekend planner.
The Salooner tables are indicating fair game fish conditions over both days this weekend. Peak activity should begin about an hour or so before sunrise in the mornings and again in the evenings at 5:34 on Saturday and 6:19 on Sunday. The sun will rise at 6:58 and set at 7:59. And nights will feature a crescent moon that is 26% visible.
Hey everybody, we've made it out onto Possum Kingdom Lake. It's a great white bass lake, and I just pulled up onto a little ledge right here and graphed a few fish. I wanted to tell you right at the outset though that we're doing something that we've never even really attempted before in the 32-year history of our show, 1,200, there we go, fish episodes. We're going to try to do this solo without a camera person. Wow, that's 2 fish. Look at that. How about that for a start? I mean, the first drop down there. So we don't have a camera person. We've got actually 3 camera angles that we hope to show you today. Camera number 1 is our regular television camera. That's you folks right there. There's 2 fish. Camera number 2 is my GoPro camera. Much wider angle. We have to get up a lot closer to show these fish on the GoPro. And I've got my smartphone with a cell phone camera. I'm going to show you a couple of shots of the graph with it, and no telling what else we're going to do today, but there's a couple of fish to start with. There is one white, a little bit bigger one for you right there, and we're off to a great start. Stay with us, don't go anywhere.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lew's, fueled by passion, driven by innovation. Feel the difference. Jean LaRue Bass Baits and Bobby Garland Crappie Baits, the leaders in soft plastic lures innovation. And Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Something cool happened. I caught 2. Eat that topwater. Eat it, eat it, eat it. Got him, he did eat it. All right. All right, look at there. We got 2 of them. Welcome back, everybody. Something cool happened. I caught 2. So one of the very first things that you want to do when you're looking out for white bass is you want to be constantly scanning with your eyes and watching the surface of the water. And I've got a double rig here with a little topwater chugger bait and a little trailer plastic bait behind it, and caught 2 white bass. So that one goes back and that one's going to take some surgery with the pliers. But let me tell you, white bass are very aggressive fish, and during the warm weather months they come up chasing shad constantly on top, and they'll push them up to the surface and then just blast them, blow up on them. Keep your top water handy. Keep your eyes looking at the water. You never know what you can find. This can happen during any of the warm weather months. Let's get you started with fishing and lake reports from where you live.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is once again brought to you by Chili Cheeks. Not only can Chili Cheeks be frozen to give you cooling comfort in our hot Texas summers, but you can microwave it to keep you warm in the deer blind, the duck blind, or under those Friday night lights. Now this week we're going to start with some of the smaller lakes in Texas, namely Amon Carter Reservoir, located just outside Bowie, Texas. Back in April it gave up a record crappie, and the crappie fishing is good all over the lake. Use your minnows and crappie jigs around brush piles. Now Amon Carter is also listed as one of the top 10 bass lakes in the state of Texas. It's actually 2 reservoirs, and you can use your standard topwaters, then Cinco spinner bait, then jigs and Texas rig pattern to fish the water column from top to bottom for the Amon Carter bass. Nearby Lake Nocona, just outside the town of Nocona, also has good fishing for crappie, but right now it's fantastic for catfish. Use your prepared baits for your flatheads and channels, and use your live baits for your blue cats. Chum the area with some cut bait before you begin fishing. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by Chili Cheeks. Be sure and check out Lone Star Lakes' Facebook page to see the places we go and stay and eat and all the other things we do when we're out on our travels around the state. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, estuaries, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus, the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, weather permitting, this weekend on the water might be a good one to run and gun looking for unpressured places to fish. Where to look? Well, on Sabine, try the short rigs or along the beachfront. In Galveston, the beachfront or drops and openings to back marsh areas along the intercoastal are a good option. Now in Aransas and Corpus Christi Bay, there are a number of well pads. The best way to fish well pads are on a heavier 3/8 or 1/2 ounce jig head, or a 16-inch leader on a Carolina or Lindy rig. Use enough weight to get it down and stay in touch with the bottom. In San Antonio Bay, try fishing those reefs from the top down or from deep water casting toward the shallow tops. South of the JFK Causeway and south of Port Mansfield Harbor, try drifting grass and sandy pothole areas. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
There we go. Go. All right, hey, I got 2. There's 2 white bass, a little bit bigger one on top, a little smaller one on bottom. Welcome back, everybody. Fox Sports Outdoors, talking about catching white bass and having a lot of fun doing it, and right now 2 at a time. Actually, we'll show you the rigs for that. We've got 3 different rigs that are double rigs that I'm using today. If you're going to be successful catching white bass, the first thing, as always, everywhere I go, whatever species, is location. So quickly here, I want to show you a couple of chart shots, a couple of shots of my Lowrance Elite TI that I use today to find some of these underwater humps. And I'll show you several different kinds of spots. Long, skinny, tapering points that drop off toward the river channel, always good. Underwater isolated humps that come up to about 10 or 12 feet on top, those are always good. River ledges, spots that are 10, 12, 14 feet deep and drop sharply into the river channel. Those are always good. Those are the types of spots you want deep water nearby, but you want something coming up 10 to 15 feet on the top. Those are the spots you look for. The white bass live there, they sit out in that deep water, they use the shallow hump or point, the underwater structure, to push bait fish up on, herd them up, feed on them. They're schooling actually on them just underwater where you can't see them up on top. Fishing report time for you.
Hey, we're entering that time of year here in Oklahoma that the bass are really starting to transition into different patterns. They're scattered out a lot. A great way to catch them for the next few weeks is with a drop shot rig. I really want you to understand what that rig looks like, how and when to use it, and who better to learn about that than a drop shot expert himself, Andrew Upshaw.
Fishing the summer to fall transition is traditionally a tough time to fish, but a great way to put a lot of bass and big bass in the boat is with a drop shot rig. Here I have a 6-inch tattletale worm with a size 1 mustad drop shot hook with about 1.5 foot leader to an 1/8 ounce drop shot weight. Here I have it rigged on 4-pound test. You can fish anywhere between 4 and 8 pound test when you drop shot. It's important to use a leader that works with the depth that you're fishing. So if I'm in 12 to 15, I'm using 1 foot to 1.5 foot. Deeper, I go longer. The reason is because you want that bait to stay suspended up in the brush pile so they eat it. This time of year, one of my main things that I do is I throw my drop shot into the brush pile or around the brush pile, and I just want to drag it. I don't want to shake it a lot. I want the worm to do its own natural motion in the water. So this is going to help you get more bites. But you know, one of the most important things is to have a good rod and reel setup. Here I have a Mach 2 speed spin. It has a great drag system, and the rod I'm using is a 7-foot medium light action luge rod. Has a really good tip so I can help get those fish out of that heavy dense cover.
Hey everybody, we got to take a quick break, but before we do, I want to show you something real quick. I just looked down, trolling around the outside edge of this hump, and I looked down at my Lowrance Elite TI9 right here, and I want you to look. It's just nearly blacked completely out. Every one of those is a white bass, and when you find that, pretty much drop straight down in them. Don't cast, drop straight down in those fish. There's one, he got it. A lot of times when I'm using this double rig, once I hit one like that, I let him swim around a little bit. Let that fish drag that other spoon around. I've got 2 spoons on here. There, I think another one got it. Yep. All right, there's 2. So if you'll be patient and let him swim around down there, you can get you a couple of floppers like that. Well, stay with us. We've got a lot of fish working today, and that's the really cool thing about white bass fishing is once you locate them, you just stay right there, don't move, and you can just wear them out, fish after fish. There's one for you right there. It's 2 pretty decent sized ones. That.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Motor Guide, because accuracy matters. Lowrance Electronics, celebrating 60 years of fish finding excellence. Find, navigate, dominate. And Excite Technologies, powering the world forward.
Oh, big one. There we go. Up my tail spinner. These fish have moved. Something's going on here. I've lost my fish. No, I didn't. I thought maybe I lost them. But I picked up a search bait, and I'll explain to you. Oh, big one. There we go. All right, well, here's what happened. I've probably caught 75 or 80 of these white bass jigging straight down below the trolling motor. And all of a sudden I looked down at my graph and there was just nothing on it. It was blank. They're not going to move miles just that quick. Chances are what they've done is just move 50 or 100 yards away. Wow, there's another one. What I did was just picked up a bait that I can cast a long ways and will still stay down close to the bottom. There we go. There's another one. It's a tail spinner. It's a heavy bait, so I can cast it a long ways. It's also a heavy bait, so I can keep it down close to the bottom and I can reel it pretty quickly up through the fish. And it's got a lot of flash, a lot of vibration, and it will attract fish. I'll show it to you a little bit later on our gear segment. But there's a nice one there. And again, I can look on my graph right now and there's not a fish anywhere below the boat, but they've just moved and I can cast about 30 yards, something like that, right over that direction. I let this bait go to the bottom and then I crank it through the water column, push your button, let it go back down, crank it sideways again, and a lot of times you can get right back on a big group of fish that you think you've lost, and really, they've just moved a few yards away from the boat. I thought I might catch 3 in a row. I did. I caught 3 in a row right here. There's the third one. All right, there's 3 on 3 casts right there, casting a tail spinner out sideways. All right, time for more fishing and lake reports, and I'm gonna keep on catching white bass. You can too use these techniques. Thank you, buddy.
Cajun Phil here with you, Fox Sports Southwest, Louisiana Fishing Report. I tell you what, I just got a call from Captain Kevin a while ago, and it really kind of shocked me. For about the last 4 to 5 days, friends, fishing has been slow. I'm talking about bad slow. Reason why? Southwest winds had everything on Calcasieu Lake off color, a little muddy. Today, Captain Kevin didn't expect anything different, but all 4 guys today limited out with 4-man limits. They all came in with their 45 trout. One of the guys even picked up 20 really nice redfish also. I tell you what, let's talk bass fishing a minute. Fishing's good right now. Talk to everybody on Lake Verret, over the Chaffalay Basin, False River. Everybody I've made phone calls to said, yeah, fishing is pretty darn good, especially early and late. Speaking of early and late, up at the lead bend, Joe Jocelyn said, right after it breaks daylight, put on a topwater bait or a small spinner bait, go along the grass line in shallow water, and you're gonna pick up a heck of a mess of bass. He said, once that sun comes up, about 9:30, 10 o'clock, you better go to 18 foot of water, throw in about a 6 to 8 inch plastic lizard or worm with about a 1/2 ounce slip sinker. Work it real slow and fish the ledges. They've been doing really good on that. Looks like fish is good right now, friends, all across the state, whether you want bass, whether you want brim or goggle eye, whether you want some saltwater fish.
And if you would like to come here and catch some of these white bass at beautiful Possum Kingdom Lake in Northwest Texas, you can contact Casey Armstrong. The contact information you see on your screen, he'll bring you out, put you on some of these fish. He stays on them just about every day.
Be sure to join Fox Sports Outdoors again next week, Thursday at 5:30, or catch the repeat airing Saturday morning at 8. And you can always watch the latest episode in full HD on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Plus, catch up on all past episodes by clicking the archive button. And see lots of our how-to and product videos by selecting the how-to button. Join our online fishing community. Just click the like button on our Facebook page for access to daily posts with lots of fishing news, videos, and frequent giveaways. And stay up to date with all the latest fishing information and photos by following our Twitter feed. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than a boat, it's a tracker. Mercury Marine, go boldly. And Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro question, your chance for advice from professional anglers. This week, Susan writes, what are some safety concerns to be aware of when taking my child fishing? For some insights, we checked with Nitro Boats pro staffer, Kendall Newsom.
There's a lot of things to be prepared for keeping your child or kids safe on the water. What I like to do is make sure that I look at the lake map or the lake situation that I'm going to make sure that there's not a high species of snakes or anything like that where the kids might get bit, and also make sure that it's not a real sloping hill that we're standing on fishing in case the kid catches a fish and tumbles or falls in. Try to make sure it's a flat bank. Also make sure they have a life vest, and make sure that you bring a first aid kit. That's always a good tool to have when you're taking kids fishing.
Thank you, Kendall. If you have a question to ask one of the pros, just visit our website, Follow the Ask the Pro link and let us know. Now let's see which big fish picture wins someone a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
What a great day and back at the boat ramp, and time right now for this week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest. He is Dax Lackey of Montgomery, Texas, with a 50-inch redfish he caught in Galveston Bay in Texas. And here are some other bonus fish pictures, not winners in the contest, but great fish also out of Galveston Bay. Here are big redfish, first of all by Robert Snyder, then a big one by Albento Anguino Jr., then a big one by Jason Scott, and finally here's one from Patrick Lambieta. Then here's a big trophy speckled trout by Christina Richardson, and a nice big flounder by Andy Tenney. All great fish, not winners, but congratulations nonetheless. If you'd like to be our next winner, go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Follow the instructions to send us your photo, and you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles at their website by clicking on their logo on the front page of our site. You can see all of the frame and lens styles that Costa offers, including the great one I was wearing on this week's episode. It's got gray lenses in it for these bright days like today. It's called South Sea. Next up on the gear segment, I'd like to show you 3 different rigs that we caught all those white bass on today, beginning with the topwater fish when they were schooling. That's basically a chugger, but the key is behind that, I put about a foot of heavy leader and then an open hook with a little grub on the back of it, a plastic grub, and a lot of those fish would hit that grub. Next up, we used a double spoon rig. Basically, it's a 1/2 ounce jigging spoon on the bottom, then about a 1 foot leader. Make sure that's a heavy leader because those fish pull against each other when we broke several off that way. Then above that, a little bit lighter spoon. So there's your double spoon rig, a little heavier spoon on the bottom, lighter one on the top. And finally, we used the tail spinner, and that's basically just a lead heavy tail spinner with 1 treble hook on it, a little willow leaf spinner on the back for casting and reeling it back in for those suspended fish. It's a great search bait for white bass. I'll have to admit to you that up until a few weeks ago, I had not seen 1 second of one episode of the hot television series Game of Thrones. But in a free preview, I watched a little bit. In that period of time, I saw one teenager beheaded by his own father in the name of honor, one person's throat slit at a wedding reception, the casual comment by the bride's father that it's not a real party unless somebody gets killed, 3 separate women sexually abused, 1 in front of a child. Now, the cold hard facts are that Game of Thrones has broken its own ratings record for 7 years running. That's the truth. Really? Is this who we are as Americans? Is this what entertains us? Maybe so. The question you and I have to answer is this. Is that the type of programming that we want to support by watching and adding to their ratings? And do we want to support the producers and the advertisers that produce and support that kind of programming? That's a question that only you and I can and will answer. See you next week. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.